So I just wanted to show you how easy it is, even though it is a Quilter's Edition sewing machine, how easy it is for my 770 to move to something else. Now I love to quilt and I'm principally a quilter, and therefore I got a Quilter's Edition, a sewing machine that I absolutely love. But sometimes, like now, I want to make something, either it's clothing, home decor, or sometimes I'm making an art quilt and I do want to make something that's using a different type of fabric. So you're seeing the screen right now, and usually my screen is right there set up for quilting. That's usually where it exists, let's say. But today I want to do something else, and in the past it was whenever I used a specialty fabric, either it was for quilting or for making clothes, it was always a big hassle to set up the sewing machine. And it's just not anymore. Everything's changed. The change has been brought about because of the creative consultant. It means going from task to task or project to project, fluid, easy, and actually an enjoyable process. I'm making a cape, and it has heavy woven wool, and it's really beautiful classic wool, and I'm lining it with Bamberg lining, and that's also significant because when I change fabrics over, it's so easy. So let's get started and I'll show you how easy it is. So I just pressed on that icon. I'll point to it again. It's got this mannequin right in the front, and I press on that, and you can see there's all sorts of pictures, and if there's any question to what you're doing, no problem at all. You just ask the question. So let's say I just press the question mark and I'm looking for the heaviest, because that's what I'm looking at: tweed, loden, canvas, upholstery fabric, and wool. Well, I already said it's wool, so I am really set up to go. Okay, so I'm just going to press on this, and you can see there's all sorts of things about how to finish it off, and all that it's the same thing that's used. So I press on that button, and there it is. It comes up. So there's, wherever you see that little plus sign, I could press on it, like for the needle. It'll give you an explanation what it recommends. Now on these things, on the needle and the thread, those are recommendations. And I do use a light thread. It's calling for polyester 100 weight 2-ply. I use bobbin bottom line by Superior Threads in my bobbin, and when on the top thread I use, depending on what I'm doing. In this case, if I'm piecing anything at all, I'll use it on the top. And it's very light, so I don't have to switch over to it, but it is calling for extremely light. And this bottom line thread is just like amazing. It stitches everything. You just don't see it. It's as if it's much lighter than what it actually is, and therefore I don't have to move anything around with my bobbin thread at all. So I just press the check, and there it is. It goes straight in, and the machine is set up. It's doing a bit bigger thread length than usual, and the pressure foot is a little lighter, and 1D is what I'm going to use, and that I keep. Okay, it is set up and it's amazing. This sews beautifully. The only thing I do change is when you press the sewing consultant and then you press the check, it automatically puts the needle above, and that I just switch down. And I'm going to show you just in a minute how beautifully this stitches it, and it just makes life much easier. Okay, I'm on the next stage, which is the Bamberg lining. It's actually Bamberg rayon, but I'm using it for lining. I kind of relate to it that way. It is beautiful fabric. You can use it for other things. I have the extra fabric, and I have ideas in my head that I'm going to be using it for art quilting. I just love the fabric. But for our purposes, I'm going to show you the few changes that I made. I do change the stitch plate, and I've already changed it to be a tiny little hole because it is very narrow fabric. I press the creative consultant, and then I go back to the beginning, to the start. And if you want, I could press the question mark, or I want to lightweight silk, cotton batiste, rayon, viscose rayon on the bottom. So I'm in the right place. Okay, so I press this, and I press that I'm just going to be sewing seams, and it's coming up that to use 120 2-ply. Like I said, I keep it with bottom lined by superior threads because it just works beautifully. There's a lot of plus signs that you could press on just to get more information. It's telling you to do number 1C. My foot is already in there, and oops, I just went out. So all I have to do is click the check mark. Okay, and there we have it. You could see the tension is a little different. The pressure on the foot is 70, and usually it's 50. And of course the needle is above, and I just switch that because I like it to go down. And I'm going to take you right now to see how well it sews. So right now I am sewing the Bemberg rayon on top of the wool. So how do I set up the sewing machine? I set up the sewing machine to look the same as if I'm only sewing wool. That means, and I'll give you an idea what it looks like. Right there, you can see it's set up for wool. But also, when I'm sewing, I put the lighter fabric on top. Okay, as you can see, there are a few samples right in front of you, and I'm a quilter, but once in a while I sew clothes, home decor, and sometimes I will use these same fabrics when I sew. I do like to make art quilts. So either way, this makes my life a lot easier. I just press a few buttons and I sew. You can see here is the example of the rayon, the Bemberg rayon. It is just beautiful. See how smooth the seam is from both sides? And then I just went to sew, or one or the other went first, it doesn't really matter. And then I went to sew this, and you can see how smooth it is on both sides. And then when I sew both of them together, because we do that a lot if we're doing art quilts, or if we just want to use a specialty fabric, or if we just want to line something, it goes from one to the other really beautifully. Look at how smooth that seam looks. Okay, so subscribe please, and there are going to be more videos coming out, especially on how to use the foot, and there's a third way of applying the binding.